All right, peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. All praises due to the Most High. A scumbag New York Police Department officer, and this guy right here, Ryan Olsen, has been charged with threatening a stripper with a gun outside of a club when she wouldn't tell him when Bambi was coming out. Yeah, that's right. This officer of the law entered a strip club, and when one of the strippers who was sitting outside of her car didn't help him get in touch with another stripper, he pulled the burner on him, or flashed the burner on him. Now I'm going to show you this article, which gives you some details of this particular incident, but I'm also going to give you some information about this officer's past, who has been complained upon several times by black men. All of his complaints you're going to see is made by black men, which further leads me to believe that he may have some racist tendency, or as some people would put it, he is a suspected racist white supremacist. But just look at this article right here. It's from the New York Post. And you're just going to have to read along with me on this one. New York detective with a history of misconduct busted for flashing a firearm at a Long Island stripper. Have you ever been shot? This wasn't the way to disarm her. A New York police detective was arrested after he allegedly flashed his gun to threaten a stripper outside a Long Island jiggle joint, asking her, "Have you ever been shot?" the Post has learned. Ryan Olsen was caught on camera lifting his shirt and showing a gun tucked in his waistband to a dancer outside the Carousel Lounge in Huntington Station on September the 19th, police sources said. Olsen, 37, who lives nearby, approached a 23-year-old stripper as she was, quote unquote, smoking a blunt, which leads me to believe this stripper was black, in her car outside the club around 3 a.m., sources familiar with the investigation said. Olsen earned $250,000 last year. Wow, they make a lot up there in New York as police officers. "Do you know when Bambi's coming out?" he asked, referring to another dancer, according to sources. He then asked her to text Bambi to find out. But the unnamed woman refused to help, and she and NY's finest began to squabble in the parking lot, sources said. Olsen, a cop in the New York PD's warrant session, which tracked down wanted criminals, then pulled up his shirt so she could see his gun and asked, "Have you ever been shot?" the dancer told Suffolk County cops, the sources said. The woman then started screaming, "Get the F away from me, get the F away from me," and called her boss inside the club for help as she began driving away, the sources said. The detective at first tried to calm her down, but then got in his car and drove away. The nightclub already had the Gumshoes name because he had to provide his driver's license to get in earlier in the evening, the sources said. Suffolk Police Department investigated and allegedly found surveillance video showing Olsen pulling up his shirt and flashing his firearm, the sources said. A manager at the club refused to comment on the incident. On Thursday afternoon, 6 strippers sat glumly at the U-shaped bar inside the dimly lit space, already decorated for Halloween, paper skeletons, pumpkins, and orange and black balloons. Olsen, a 2010 graduate of John Jay College of Criminal Justice, who made $250,000 last year, pleaded not guilty to a charge of menacing with a gun at his arraignment. Detective Olsen is a respected 15-year member of the New York Police City Department. Olsen's lawyer, Peter Brill, said he's innocent until proven guilty. The NYPD's Internal Affairs Bureau investigates when a police officer is arrested. Olsen could be fired as a result of the charges. Olsen has 23 misconduct allegations filed against him, 9 of them substantiated, with the most recent in 2023. The most recent allegations were for abuse of authority for improper use of body-worn camera in 2023 and for a vehicle search in 2021 and were substantiated by the Independent Watchdog Civilian Complaint Review Board. He received formal training and appears to have lost vacation days as a result. Now, evidently, the vacation days was not enough because here he is in an off-duty capacity, already waiting on a stripper to come out of the club. So it would be my assertion that he was probably tricking. He was probably paying the lady some change to do something strange. He was giving her some money to do something a little funny, at 3 a.m. Now he approaches another stripper who was smoking a blunt. And once again, I have to use my cognitive deduction to say, okay, if a stripper is outside smoking a blunt, she's probably black, right? So he goes up to this black girl. Hey, when Bambi coming out? I don't know. Hey, you know what I'm saying? I don't rock with Bambi like that. Well, text her and find out. Man, what's wrong with you, man? Who is you? Get away from here. F out of here. You know how New Yorkers are. F out of here. So now he pulls up the strap. Oh, yeah? You ever been shot? And she like, yo, what's wrong with this guy? Now, that is a prime example of police officers using their authority, using their, power to get what they want by any means necessary, as Malcolm would put it. Now, I'm going to show you how this all intertwines with his past record in a few, but nevertheless, the young lady drives off, and then he tried to go, calm down. No, you done messed up. I'm calling my supervisor. Yo, this weird guy out here. He's looking for Bambi. Tell Bambi don't come out. And so they got him on camera after he sped away, pulling up his shirt, flashing the gun, which is, intimidation, actually a threat, right? Have you ever been shot? That is a communicating threat, or as they say, menacing with a gun. So they had him on camera. The club owner, of course, he declined to comment because he probably know they be tricking in the club, so he don't want no heat coming on him. And that's the thing too, because they know this guy, if he, gets involved, this police officer has the power to menace his employees, to menace his club, to make it hard for him to make money in his ill-reputed establishment. Just let me put that out. So that is another example of intimidation by police when they do something wrong. They have the ability to intimidate the people whom they've wronged. But nevertheless, that girl stood on business. She told the cops. They came, they got the surveillance, and they arrested him. Now, this is one of New York's finest, as they said in the article. But let's take a look at New York's finest record. Now, here you see Ryan Olsen, 11530. Complaints received in May 2018. There you see abuse of authority, threat of force, verbal or physical. What did he just do to that young lady? Threaten her by force. Have you ever been shot? 38-year-old black male. It was substantiated, right? Another complaint, physical force, exonerated, which we all know that don't mean nothing because we seen police get exonerated for shooting unarmed black men, and we all see that they do it. So that doesn't mean anything when they're saying exonerated. Abuse of authority, 38-year-old black male, traffic stop. Here we go. Discourtesy, a word. Discourtesy, a word. Offensive language, race. That means he probably called somebody an N-word. Offensive language, other. Discourtesy, other. And all of those were substantiated. Abuse of authority, once again in 2016, black male, substantiated. 2012, physical force, discourtesy, a word, black male. So all of his complaints, all of his indiscretions allegedly were committed against a black male. Now, this is an officer who is still being paid, who makes $250,000 a year to harass, threaten, racially disparage, belittle black men. And now he's caught on camera threatening black women. Now, if you're not going to say this has nothing to do with race, you know, I got some oceanfront property in Antarctica, you know, to sell you, some beachfront sunshiny property in Antarctica to sell you, because this is definitely what it's about. This guy has been allowed to operate in this capacity, and it is officers like this who go unchecked that end up taking the life of someone. You know, he could have took the life of that stripper just because, you know, he's been unchecked in his abuse of authority throughout the years. But nevertheless, I will see how this plays out in court. As his lawyer said, my client is a 15-year veteran. You know, he's innocent. Of course, they're always going to use that 10-year, but for 15 years, it looks like he's been harassing, denigrating, and verbally and physically abusing black people. And here we see another incident. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. Y'all see the number 919-587-7782. If you are watching this channel and have not already subscribed, please do so. It doesn't cost you anything. Just hit that little button under the video, and what that allows the channel to do is grow, get more exposure, and get more expansion into the internet spaces with more frequency and more regularity. But as always, I thank you, especially you, for watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And as always, I pray you have peace and blessings.